Do you think it's dangerous more broadly as you're talking about, the most important thing is to have the broadest possible debate? Do you think it's dangerous that we have completely censored Russian state media anyway? Surely if Russia are the enemy, as we're being told, and it feels actually more sinister than that it's all Russians, not just Vladimir Putin, who are the enemy as we stoke this war. Do you think it was the right decision of the government to cancel Russian state media from British viewing for British viewers?
No, not when we're not at war. And of course, we're not at war. The government doesn't have the guts to go to war with Russia. And short of being at war with Russia, there's no justification for doing it, apart from anything else. As my experience in the last 20 hours makes clear, people go looking for the other point of view. Perhaps more of them go looking than was the case before you banned it. The book they try to ban always goes to the top of the bestseller list. You're if I may say so, quite a good example. I had never sought you out for political advice until everyone started to call for the banning of Laurence Fox, the cancellation of Laurence Fox. Now I look for Laurence Fox and enjoy and sometimes agree with the views of Laurence Fox. So I think it's both stupid and malignant as a tactic, this cancel culture. And I certainly think it's the antithesis of democracy, the democracy we say that we stand for, because literally without free speech you cannot have democracy, because without free speech you cannot know what the options are. You cannot know whether to choose option A, B, C or D, because you have not been allowed to hear options B, C and D. And so we're murdering our own democracy that we supposedly, avowedly cherish so much. But I've got to tell you something, Laurence. This is a melancholy thing to say and indeed to hear. I very much doubt the commitment to democracy of many millions of our people, many millions of them. I never used to credit the sort of Cassandra cry of fascism is rising in Britain and across the Western world, but I no longer do. Because it's clear enough to me that millions would murder democracy at the stake, would murder the designated enemy at the stake. And I never thought that I would hear myself saying that. And here's the rub. Most of them regard themselves, at least, as liberals, as progressives, even as left. Fascism has risen in Britain, not in the bowler hat and pinstripe suit, not in the brown shirt, but in sneakers and chinos and baseball caps with blue ticks. How about that?
Yeah. That's exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. Liberalism is the new fascism. Do you think it's a sign of how this McCarthyism is a sign of how fragile democracy has become with the suppression of free speech? That the more we suppress anybody's alternate view against a singular narrative, that Ukraine are heroes and Russia is the dreadful, that there's, without any nuance in the debate, it's a sign of how fragile the argument is, and it will create more skepticism and wrong think amongst those of us who are curious for the truth.
I believe that our democracy is extremely fragile, and if my darkest fears are correct, then if somebody issued an edict tomorrow that Laurence Fox and George Galloway were to be locked up in the Tower of London for different offences, no doubt, but nonetheless locked up in the Tower of London and even broken on the wheel there, that millions would cheer it. Perhaps not most people, but the number of active opponents of it would be in the millions, but not many in the millions. And therefore, and I give that only as an example, much more likely is that that banning orders, gagging orders were issued. In a way, they partly have already. been issued. You know, I once went to a little town called Brandfort in apartheid South Africa to visit the late Winnie Mandela. Mandela was under house arrest, bad enough, but she literally had the designation banned person. In that, she was literally not allowed to be referred to. She could not be quoted, she could not be photographed and the photograph published. She was still alive, but a ghost in her own country. And that was the designation, a banned person. I don't think we're all that far away from the existence of banned persons in Britain.
I agree. I think we're heading towards digital and victimless in a physical way genocide. You know, you're a digital Holocaust. It's like you no longer exist. You have nothing to say. You're not able to express an alternate view, and it's very, very, very dangerous. And the hope I enjoy in this is the fact that you and I, who would disagree about a great number of things, are able to speak about the one thing that we do stand for, and that traditionally the left in the UK stood for passionately, which was free speech. And as you say, the left is now, as it becomes further and further left and woke, it hates free speech. So do you see any hope? What's your hope? I've heard your dreaded fears, and I have to say I share a lot of them when I wake up in the morning. But what do you feel is the hope, and what do you feel is the answer and the way out of this?
I can't say I'm wildly optimistic about the future of our country, certainly not in the short term. I can't say that I have a wand that I can wave, and if you follow me, we'll solve this problem. But I have been developing the idea of a Liberty Alliance, because the political current that I represent, maybe it has 1 million followers. If I could stand in a nationwide election from Land's End to John O'Groats, I might, if they didn't ban me from speaking, get 1 million supporters. But there's 68 million of us on this island. It's axiomatic, therefore, that I need to find allies to defend liberty, to defend free speech. And that's only going to happen if indeed it can happen. If all those who agree on that one thing, and if you think about it, if we don't have that one thing, then our differences on all other matters are OTOs, because they will literally mean nothing. If we cannot speak freely, if we cannot hear the points of view that are out there because they have been suppressed, then where we stand on, tuppence on the income tax or off it, or any matter of domestic or even international politics are meaningless, because we'll never know and we'll never be able to speak our minds. So I say, let's have a one-line manifesto in this Liberty Alliance, fighting for the freedom of the people to speak and to hear on all levels, on digital, in writing, at public meetings, and so on.